Islam, peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Peace, grace, mercy, and the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon you. His Yaqub il-Hamid gamb'l-Bey ibn Madini wa Gabriel ibn Madin wa Gabriel. On November the 10th, AM hours of 2023, myself and Aladdin Marak Bey had left the hotel room. I was invited back there November the 8th of 2023 after being separated from Sitiana gamb'l-Bey Atana Il, a Sitiana Qatar, a Sitiana Bay on November the 3rd, 2023. I was invited back to the hotel by Luna Latoya Bey. And upon my arrival, I went to go get their conveyance, which is a Jeep Ford Cherokee, or a gray and black Jeep Cherokee, four-door, out of the impound shop from Malden Road, of Ashmore Bridge Road in Malden, South Carolina. However, long story short, on the 10th, on the 9th, they're supposed to be helping me look for you. On the 8th, going back, they're supposed to be helping me look for you. On the 9th, they're supposed to be helping me look for you. On the 10th, that morning, I got up and I said, I'm hungry. Going back on the 9th, early in that morning, about 1 a.m., 2 a.m., I was walking around Grimmer Inn and Suites because I felt her presence in the area. The night before the 10th, the 9th, I had met a guy named Jay, and I met a female by the name of Wheezy, a male. I don't know her name, but my mother's like, you know her. She went to Mount Pleasant Church, the church where your grandmother Madden used to attend. However, long story short, on the 10th, I woke up that morning. I said, I'm hungry. So I don't think to myself. I asked Luna and Wheezy, did they want something to eat? I asked Aladdin, did he want something to eat? However, on the 8th, I had already bought their meals and paid out of my pocket cash to get that car out of impound, or the conveyances out of impound, which was a Jeep gray black Jeep Cherokee, a Jeep Liberty. That's what it was, a Jeep Liberty. However, on the 9th, I had paid for their food. On the 10th, I offered to pay for their food. They declined. Aladdin and I went and got me something to eat, and Aladdin was like, we're going to go to vacuum the car out. We went to go vacuum the car up. Then after that, stopped by the store. I met a guy that I had been affiliated with named Brendan Ill. And we began to chop it up. He had on his black face, I had on my face. And we began to chop it up and speak. Brendan asked for the ride back to the house, and Aladdin, it was his conveyance. He and Luna Bey's conveyance, because they showed up to me and Sitiana as a married couple. However, Aladdin, myself, and Brendan went back to Brendan's house, and we talked and chopped it up on the moral science and Islam and on law. Afterwards, Aladdin Marak Bey asked me to buy some cigarettes. I said no. He asked me again. I said no, I'm not buying any cigarettes. So then he got a little angry. We got back to the hotel, which was Grimmer Inn and Suites. On the backside, I believe it was room 324, maybe 326, I'm not sure. It's been several years ago, so I forget. But I can go back in my mind. I can go over there, and I can look at the room and point it out. However, Aladdin, I continued to eat my food. Aladdin got out of the conveyance, went upstairs quickly. I ate my food, which I had gotten from Burger King, which is it was an egg and cheese biscuit, or egg and cheese croissant. That's what it was, egg and cheese croissant, and an orange juice. I finished my breakfast, went up the stairs. When I got up the stairs, the shower was running. Luna was laying on the bed. Weezy was laying on the bed. Aladdin came out the bathroom, and he grabbed a pack of hot Cheeto fries, which I knew Sitiana ate. I looked on a bathroom counter, and I saw some belongings of Sitiana. And then my mind began to run in race. Didn't ask any questions. I'm standing in the middle of the floor just looking at the bag. Then all of a sudden, Aladdin said, bro, you gotta leave. Your life is in danger. If you don't leave, you will die. They were armed. I was not armed. And as I began to question in my mind and I felt betrayed as the tears rolled down my face, they began to push me out the door. And I was like, what's going on? What's going on? Then I seen a head peek out of the bathroom with a hand over the mouth of the head. And I couldn't see the full face because the tears were in my eyes and the steam was coming from the bathroom. I couldn't clearly see the face. But in my spirit, in my suke, in my pure, in my mind, my psyche kept telling me it was Citiana. But they was pushing me out the door. Citiana, if that was you, I'm sorry. I didn't leave you. I was threatened. My life was threatened. Several months later, in April of 2024, I received a text message stating that it was Citiana texting me, and yes, she was been held in the restroom with hands over her mouth and an arm around her throat, and she couldn't speak. In the text message, it expresses that someone had attempted to rape her. And I felt terrible that I didn't stop and listen to my inner man, the spirit, saying that was Citiana, but I was being pushed out of the door hurriedly by 3 individuals, 2 in which were bigger than me. And Luna looked like she was very strong, and I know she's very strong. However, Luna is Lydia Toy Smith. Aladdin Morak Bey is Michael Devinte Gilroy, or Michael Tunye Gilroy. However, they pushed me out of the door, threw all my things in the conveyance in their Jeep, Liberty Gray, which I had got out in pound on the 8th. We ran into a guy, I forget his name. I can go back in my contacts and recall his name once I see his name and number. However, we had met him at Greenland Suites when ex-legislator, retired legislator Leo Robinson had booked the room for Citiana gamb'l-Bey and myself, Yaqub Il-Hamid gamb'l-Bey, in 2023, room 224, on the backside of what used to be Hudson's Cafe. However, once we were leaving, a guy approached. He was like, Yaqub, where's your lady? Where's Citiana? I said, I don't know. I'm looking for her. Then he said, bro, don't go with them. Get out the Jeep. Then Luna pulled her arms and told brother to back away from the conveyance. She told Aladdin to take off. Aladdin took off and dropped me off at Motel 6 and said, brother, keep your phone on. We're going to contact you and we're going to come back and get you. We have to go take care of something real quick. We're going to come back and get you. No one ever showed up. So I called my mother and her husband, my dad. My father's Jim Shimadden. He's deceased. He died July 14th, 2018. However, my mother came and picked me up. And that's no story from there. I stayed with my mother until July the 8th, 2024, when I moved to Myrtle Beach. Well, I went to Wakama. And then I left Wickham, and went to Conway. I met a young lady. Her name was Michelle. I left Conway because she began the trip as the woman in Wakama began the trip, violent talk, violent actions. And I went to Oscala. Went to Oscala and left Oscala and went to South Myrtle Beach. Left South Myrtle Beach, went to North Myrtle Beach. Then went back to Oscala and left Oscala again and went back to Myrtle Beach. However, Citiana, I did not abandon you. I did not leave you. On November the 10th, 2023, I was threatened. My life was threatened. Aladdin Morak Bey, Michael Devinte, or Michael Tunye Gilroy, said, you have to leave. If you don't leave, your life is in danger of ending. So I left. I had been trying to contact you ever since I had been out of the situation I was in. I finally made contact with you and met up with you at Milka Hill on Pleasantburg or South Pleasantburg Drive, and you showed up with your sister's mother, Mrs. Hunt, in a white Sebring. I gave you paperwork. We hugged and we kissed. We told each other we loved each other. You said you had to go take care of some things and you would come back for me. I haven't seen you since. I didn't abandon you. I really, really, really cared for you. After 14 Pressberry Drive had crumbled due to some things that were not actually what they were said to be, I was invited to 16 Pressberry Drive, and I stayed at 16 Pressberry Drive. Jacqueline Bernal Jones needed me to home and told me to take care of Citiana and be with her and make children and make her a grandmother. Not Citiana grandmother, but Jacqueline Bernal Jones a grandmother. In other words, she was telling me to be with Citiana. However, I didn't at the point in time. June the 7th came, 2023. Citiana and I celebrated her birthday, her Soloist Day. I fell asleep. I said, did you enjoy this? You fell asleep on me. I didn't get to do what I wanted to do. You fell asleep on me. So I said, it's okay. What did you want to do? She's like, you know what I wanted to do. I'm not going to get into that. So shortly after that, on the 21st, our doors were kicked in. And we were displaced. We were displaced. On June the 23rd, 2023, we did what she wanted to do on her birthday, which is my birthday, on my solar day. However, long story short, Citiana, I did not abandon you. I've always cared for you and I loved you. After June the 22nd, 2022, we made a pact and a deal with one another. Your mother had already enforced or stated that she wanted me to be with you after my family from 14 Presbyterian Drive had left. Lisa, I had always cared for you. I had always loved you. It broke my heart when you left me. Kamari, I love you. Tata, Tree, Mama Angela, Kendra, May, Bruh, Junior, PJTC, TC3, Jacqueline, if you're still with us, I love you. Angela, Mama Jacqueline, Mama Angela, if you're still with us, I love you. My mother, I love you, my mother. First Lady. And to my mother's husband, Pastor Elder, I love you. But Citiana, oh, Samuel, I have nothing but care for you, bro. You're my brother. But Citiana, Yana Carter, Citiana gamb'l-Bey, Tana Hill, Sydney Bay, I loved you. And I cared for you so much. I cared for you so much. I cared for you so much. And you know the home was lawfully deeded to me. And you know I bought my conveyances with my own cash. However, the purpose of the video or the audio recording, not the video, but audio recording, is to let you know that I did not abandon you. I was tricked by Luna Latoya Bay, Lydia Smith, Michael Tunye Gilroy, Aldi Morak Bay. I was tricked by those individuals. Islam. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Islam. Islamism.